When traveling through New York City, I suppose it's only natural that you're going to look for things like the Statue of Liberty, maybe Ellis Island, maybe a view from the 102nd floor of the World Trade Center, and of course the 9/11 Memorial. However, if you're willing to get out of Lower Manhattan near the financial district and go just a little bit northeast, you'll find an interesting little piece of New York City history. And it's an area I want to talk about in the opening of this video. And it's called the 5 Points. For most of the 19th century, the 5 Points area was considered one of the deadliest places on the planet. It was part of the 6th Ward of Manhattan and nicknamed the Bloody Sixth. This was an area where the poorest of the poor lived, and typically in really overcrowded tenement buildings. Basically, it's like apartments, small apartments with like 20 or more people living on top of each other. Columbus Park is one of the oldest parks in the city. But at one time, back during the 19th century, it was an area that was called the Collect Pond. And what that was essentially is it was a low spot in the area, and basically everything on the streets would flow into this pond. And very near the Collect Pond was what they call Mulberry Bend here on Mulberry Street, where the road bent in one direction so that as to avoid going directly into the pond. And this was what many would consider to be the core of the 5 Points, or the nastiest area of town. And of course, where there's poverty, there's crime, and hence this area being so notoriously violent. The Bowery Boys were probably the most notorious of these violent gangs, but fighting against them, of course, were other gangs such as like the 40 Thieves or the Dead Rabbits. But not all tenement buildings were demolished. And curiously, this one we're looking at right now is one of the oldest, one of the originals, and is located in what was, at the time, one of the most notoriously violent areas of the city. And the 5 Points, like most of New York City, I suppose, had its own names for its unique areas. Some of the ones I found here were called Rag Pickers Row, Bottle Alley, and Bandit's Roost. Saying that that ground is so delicate in the graveyard that they actually use sheep to mow it, but they're not out today. Kidding. That's New York parking right there.
It's there.
Looking back on day 2, I probably should have stayed with my research on the 5 Points. Instead, I decided to follow a tour on Gangsters and Ghosts, and while it was a great tour, it wasn't the same. Anyhow, it was a good day, all told, and we ended it at Washington Square Park, which turned out to be a pretty festive area. Got to meet up with a lot of locals and enjoy the entertainment. So again, all in a very good day. From Washington Square Park, we headed back to the hotel and had dinner and got ready for day 3. Hopefully you can hear this. There's a lot of noise going on. I think you can safely say this boat is full, real full. All right, we're getting ready to head out to Statue of Liberty. Yesterday was kind of a bust. We're at the 5 points, but unfortunately we did a tour, which I was hoping would really enlighten us. And on some of the history of the 5 points. It was more of kind of a mobster history, and it was interesting, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. We'll just kind of mix in what little bit I got yesterday with this, and we'll see how it turns out today. So a little bit of video I got yesterday, we'll add that in with what we're going to do today. So total tourist mode today. I'm actually quite surprised and amazed at all these helicopters flying overhead. I guess that's a popular tour. Man, I know they know what they're doing, but it sure looks like they're getting mighty close to each other out here. All right, anyway, that's where we're headed right there. And there's the Staten Island ferry with a barge and a tug behind it. All right, here we are, Statue of Liberty National Monument. All right, so the stairway to the top, we found out, you got to book that about at least 6 months in advance. And so we didn't get that ticket, but we did get one to the platform, the lower platform. So we're working our way towards that right now. An interesting day. It's a little overcast today. The weather's been fantastic this week, but a little overcast. All this still very, very comfortable. Kelly wanted to do the steps, all 176 of them. Well, at least it's better than the 300 that we did at the coast that time. It's just half. Little kids just motored past us. How's it going, Kel? Oh yeah. We're not feeling the burn yet, but we're getting there. We're getting ready to. We're good. Look at that, 108. We've almost cut it in half already. All right, so that's interesting. 305 feet, 1 inch tall. The Statue of Liberty is the tallest statue in North America. All right, we've made it onto the platform. Kelly and I are no longer breathing hard. All right, and you're looking across the Hudson here to Manhattan. And then right over here, which we'll be going to a little later, is Ellis Island. Yeah, pretty spectacular view. Again, you can see it's a little overcast today. It's been sunny the last 2, but which we're being told is kind of unusual. And that's how you get in from Battery Park into Manhattan over to the island. There's a lot of $30 tickets right there. All right, so I'm looking across at Ellis Island. I'm not sure what the big building is on the right, that right in the middle of your screen there, those buildings along the shoreline, I believe those are the hospital buildings. And we'll find out more when we get over there. It's gonna be interesting. That is, wow, that is something. All right, so here's an interesting observation in human behavior. We've just come down maybe 100 steps to a lower landing, and there's nobody here. Okay, well, those two just showed up. But basically, it's very, very quiet. And you saw how crowded it was up on the upper landing. All right. I don't know if I got a clip of this, but check this out. And again, I think that's the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge. But look at these boats here. And it looks like they're lined up just waiting for their turn to come into New York City. Wow, what a cool experience, man.
Yeah.
This is interesting. This is a stairway to the top. And he said that back in the day, before 9/11, they would let all kinds of people up there. But now it's restricted to a certain number because if there's an emergency, they want to get people out. But wow, look at that. We tried. But again, those tickets are now about 6 months out. So if you're planning on coming here and you want to go to the top,
there's not a wait list.
you're order your tickets now.
It's one of these things where
All right, so we've been playing around here on the lower platform and actually getting some pretty good pictures. Definitely a very impressive structure here, some pretty neat engineering. Oh, now there's a pose. Yeah, it's busy out here, man. Very, very busy. All right, so interesting little fun fact. The Fort Wood, which is the island that the Statue of Liberty was erected on, was built about 1794. So this was once a military fort. So here's where I put you on the spot.
Okay.
How did the Statue of Liberty get here? What's the story behind it?
After the war.
After the war? All right. So Kelly,
I can't remember.
Kelly's just winging it. It's no war. Hey, it's a good story.
They were fighting though.
Yeah.
No, it's a gift from France. It was a gift from France, and what it does is it's supposed to celebrate liberty and freedom.
Okay. Well,
So when was it built?
18.
Now, I didn't know this part. I cheated and just read it on Wikipedia, but
1812.
where you at? You gotta get you in here.
1812.
All right, what do you think, Rochelle?
I think what Kelly said.
All right. I didn't know this either. I cheated and actually I looked it up. 1886.
Okay.
Basically from April of 1886 all the way, I think it was October of 1886.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Anyway,
Yay, goody for you.
There you
know
go.
all that.
I got my history nerd on, and there she
Got the
is.
history man here.
Yeah. Who had to cheat and read notes? There you are. All right,
Look
off
at the helicopter. There's
to
another helicopter just full of
everywhere.
The sky is full
All
of
right.
helicopters.
So now we're off to Ellis Island.
After we get something to eat,
After we get something to
I
eat.
need a snack.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna get a really overpriced snack, a Liberty snack, and then we're gonna go to Ellis Island.
Yep.
Okay, so now I've been schooled on something. Okay, all right. So what does the book read that she's holding?
July 4th, 1776. But what's this that I'm doing?
A wave.
The shimmy?
Mopping. He's
Mop.
mopping it
Oh,
up.
mopping it up.
There you go.
Mopped it.
Popped it. I've been schooled. I lose. All right, let's go eat. All right, so we had a
Yeah,
killer
this was
real Italian pizza last night, and these are our, I'm gonna call them Liberty pizzas. Those two pies right there with 2 bottles of water. What was it?
Bag of chips.
$34, $35, and a bag of chips, about $35. All right,
You said expensive, Ron. You shouldn't have said that.
I'm sure these will taste like freedom. All right. All right, we moved a little closer to the harbor here. Look at this. There There's Manhattan and the new World Trade Center. The statue represents a grand interpretation of an abstract ideal of liberty born out of an age of revolutions, particularly the American and French revolutions. It embodies liberty as envisioned by two Frenchmen. Political democracy and freedom from oppression were central to liberty's meaning. How very appropriate for the age we're living through right now, when so many authoritarian interests are surfacing. It's curious. I guess the pedestal design was not decided upon right away. Yeah, look at these three. This actually being the final design. Liberty and peace are living things in each generation. If they are to be maintained, they must be guarded and vitalized anew. I sometimes think we're not doing such a good job right now. All right, the various prototypes of what would ultimately become the Statue of Liberty we see today. Kelly and I both agree. The final version that we have is definitely the best of all the designs. Okay, and that is the visitor center. When you come, this is definitely worth the time to walk through. Very, very interesting. The dark benches are actually originals when Ellis Island was still in operation. By the time we got to Ellis Island and the museum, we had about 45 minutes. And as we would find out, that's not near enough time to see everything. But the museum does a great job showing the whole entrance process and what the new arrivals went through as far as processing and getting approved to enter the country. The photos were interesting, and looking at them, I could not help but wonder what the feeling must have been like, waiting to see if you're going to be approved or not. And then of course the photos of those that were denied entry and ultimately sent back to their home country. But then of course there were those who were given approval and allowed to enter the country. For example, this group here, sitting on the shores of Ellis Island, looking across to the city of New York. And then those who were allowed entry, however, had to spend some time in the hospitals before being released. And the families already in New York City waiting at the immigration office for their families to arrive from Ellis Island. The graffiti walls from inside some of the hospital buildings that are on the exhibit here at the museum today. Just to kind of give you guys a little visual perspective on where we're at here. So this is the main building here on Ellis Island. Actually quite a structure. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get to go to the hospital buildings today, which I really wanted to do. But if you look across here into Manhattan, and there is the World Trade Center. And here's a whole series of panels of all the immigrants that came through Ellis Island. Quite a section of panels here. Going across all the way around the other side of the park there and coming back towards us. That's a whole lot of folks. Curiously, Ellis Island was once a military outpost as well, Fort Gibson, part of the coastal defense here in and around New York. Basically very similar to what was going on at the time at Bedloe's Island and Fort Wood, where now there is the Statue of Liberty. And there is the Statue of Liberty, as seen here, of course, from Ellis Island. And then back into New York City and straight into Manhattan. All right, and that's going to do it for day 3 here in New York City. as usual, never worked out the way we planned, but sometimes you got to make the best of it. And actually, it turned out to be a pretty interesting day. So hopefully you find this entertaining and a little bit educational. So, all right, we're going to continue on. See you in the next video.